In the records of architectural history, few figures loom larger than Frank Lloyd Wright. His innovative designs, such as the iconic Fallen Water House and the spiral-shaped Guggenheim Museum, have left an indelible mark on the world of architecture. However, amidst the acclaim and admiration that surround his name, a dark and haunting chapter of his life remains often overlooked: the tragic events that unfolded at his Wisconsin home and studio, Taliesin, in 1914. Shortly after being hired by businessman Edwin Cheney, a neighbor from Oak Park, Illinois, to design a house in 1903, Wright began to develop strong feelings for his client's wife, despite being married with 6 children of his own. The architect fell deeply in love with Mrs. Cheney, and eventually the two of them eloped to Europe. While the Cheneys went through a divorce, Catherine Wright, Frank's wife at the time, chose not to. In search of a secluded retreat where he and his mistress could reside, Wright constructed a home and studio in Spring Green, Wisconsin, in 1911. Although the architect officially named his estate Taliesin as a tribute to the Welsh bard, the media labeled it the Love Cottage and the Castle of Love. It was on that fateful day, August 15, 1914, when the world was introduced to the macabre side of Frank Lloyd Wright's life. Wright, a renowned architect, was away in Chicago working on the design of the Midway Gardens when a horrifying incident unfolded at Taliesin. His mistress, Martha Borthwick Cheney, sat down for lunch on the porch with her 2 children, Martha and John, joined by 5 of Wright's employees: Emil Brodell, Thomas Brunker, David Lindbaum, Herbert Fritz, and William Whiston, as well as Whiston's son Ernest. Little did they know that this serene lunch would soon turn into a nightmare. Julian Carleton, a handyman responsible for various tasks around the property, approached William Whiston, one of Wright's employees, with a seemingly innocuous request to retrieve gasoline to clean some soiled rocks. Unbeknownst to Whiston, this request would seal the fate of those dining on the porch. Upon his return, Carleton not only brought gasoline but also a large axe. In a horrifying act of violence, he slaughtered Borthwick and her children on the porch. He then proceeded to pour gasoline inside the dining room, around the outside walls, and set the house ablaze, trapping the other diners inside. Those who attempted to escape the inferno were met with Carleton's axe, one by one. Only 2 men, Herbert Fritz and William Whiston, survived, their lives forever scarred by the gruesome events that transpired. The motive behind Carleton's heinous act was never definitively established, as he pled not guilty and refused to provide an explanation before his eventual demise. However, the prevailing theory suggests that Carleton may have snapped after learning he would lose his job at Taliesin. Witnesses testified to his disputes with both fellow employees and Borthwick, and there were signs of growing agitation and paranoia in the weeks leading up to the rampage. As Taliesin went up in flames, so too did the public's fascination with the tumultuous relationship between Wright and Borthwick. Newspapers continued to refer to the estate as the Love Cottage, and the tragedy was seen as a grim testament to the consequences of unconventional relationships. Despite the horrific beginning to its history, Taliesin was rebuilt by Frank Lloyd Wright himself, and he continued to use it until his death. His ability to rise from the ashes, both literally and metaphorically, speaks to his resilience and the unwavering dedication to his craft. Taliesin, with all its controversial associations, remains open to visitors today, as a testament to the enduring legacy of Frank Lloyd Wright. In the wake of this tragedy, Wright would go on to rebuild not just Taliesin but also his own life. He found love once again, remarried in 1923, and continued to create groundbreaking architectural masterpieces. Taliesin, despite being destroyed again in a later fire, stands today as a National Historic Landmark, a symbol of both architectural brilliance and the indomitable spirit of its creator. Frank Lloyd Wright's story is one of architectural genius, scandal, tragedy, and triumph. It reminds us yet again that even the most celebrated figures can be touched by darkness. Thank you for joining us on this case. Until next time, your host Mia signing off.